Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. The covert narcissist. What is this? What is covert narcissism? It is a personality disorder as dictated by the DSM-4R, which is the statistic manual utilized by psychologists and mental health professionals to diagnose and treat personality disorders, mental health disorders, and the like. Now, there are different subtypes of personality disorders, ranging at really a different spectrum, all the way from the most severe to very mild. So the person who maybe you're thinking about can fall anywhere in the spectrum. Maybe they've sought professional help, maybe they haven't. However, it's very important to learn to understand the disease, the disorder, the situation, so you know how to handle it effectively and appropriately, so you're not feeling in a constant state of chronic suffering, abuse, and neglect. Now, the overt narcissist is someone who's outwardly narcissistic, outwardly obsessed with their own self-interest. We're going to go into that, and we have gone into that in separate videos. However, for our purposes today, I'd like to focus on the subtype known as the overt narcissist. I'm sorry, the covert narcissist. I always twist those around. The covert narcissist, which means it's covert, it's under the radar, it's unknown, it's not seen to the naked eye, it's not readily apparent, it's not obvious, it's very unobvious, it's very elusive. It's very hard to distinguish, it's hard to identify, its symptoms are sometimes bubbling underneath the surface for a very long time and very difficult to grasp, and also very difficult for the victim because it's kind of a slow sort of abuse that takes place over time, and the abuse can be, you know, a long type of abuse, but it also can be a deep abuse, meaning that the abuse can go on for such a period of time that the person who's gone through that abuse has been affected over such a vast amount of time that they can't really recover the time that was lost, or the goals that were lost, the emotions that were lost during that amount of time. Their self-empowerment suffered during that amount of time. So it's really what I'm kind of feeling is, or calling, which is an abuse of omission, which means the leaving out. An abuse of omission, meaning that which is not included or excluded. It's almost like an abuse of exclusion. It's very subtle neglect, where the person is not including others in their world in just everyday activities, getting to know them as a person. And so especially those people who are in their inner circle or significant others are impaired and abused because they're not included in certain activities within their life. Hobbies, outings, planning, this person's interests. They're kept very covert, which means very stealthily hidden, you know, very tied up, very remote, and it causes the other person to do an undue amount of work, repair, effort in the relationship, so that it's like almost like they feel like they have to constantly attend to this person because of what they need. I mean, it's done in a very sort of quiet manner where their needs are prevalent and at the forefront, but they don't really speak that their needs. It's just kind of like a known. It's just communicated in an unknown way, if that makes any sense. You know, that you should have to live to satisfy me or to fulfill my needs as this superior person. You know, having this sort of authority in life. In other words, like, I am the king and you have to play the piano for me. You have to make the dinner for me. You have to keep the house nice for me. You have to live in such and such a manner. And you're expected to do all these things and behave in all these manners without having the input from them at all. It's almost like you're expected to be this mind reader for them. And meanwhile, you're going through a situation where you're having to forego your own needs, forego your own interests, forego your own life, really for them. And so, for example, so how to bring their symptoms visual, think of it almost like an alcoholic who passes out. They're in a blackout stage, and yet you need them to be a parent, you need them to be a spouse, you need them to drive your kids to school, you need them to help pay the bills, you need them to help plan. Like, you're in this situation with them, or maybe it's the boss is the same way. Like, you need them, to be doing these certain things, and it's just an abuse of a mission where they're in like almost like a blacked out stage where they're unresponsive. They're just out of it. And it's just like, well, then why are these people in a relationship? Because they're so, when they first attract people, they're very approachable. They're maybe very good looking in a very kind of nerdy way, where they're kind of like clumsy or like out of rhythm with certain things, and you're drawn to them because they're so easy to satisfy. And so you feel like, wow, this is like a match made in heaven. Like, I can just come alive for this person, and I can just take the helm here and take charge, and it's like very spontaneous, and I can think about, they need this, they need this, they need that, and I can fulfill the role quite well. However, the problem becomes when you're fulfilling the role, your role is solely fulfilling them, and it's not fulfilling you. In other words, you're kind of invisible in the process. Like, they might still give you things, but there's an unacknowledgement, there's a depersonalization of you in the process, where you don't feel like there's a real connection. You kind of feel like you're giving, and then you really grow apart even further and further with time. And then, you might kind of circle back when they're sick or they're ill, and you're having to kind of like, they're speaking up a little bit more for their needs, or, inquiring more about you, and it can become just a very difficult cycle of abuse to articulate and to resolve. So with identifying this, if you feel very unhappy in the situation, emotionally unhappy, and just feeling like very invisible or very little in the relationship, like they're really all that there is, like they just don't ask about you. It's almost an abuse of disinterest. They don't ask about you. They're not interested in you. They don't listen to you. And if they do listen to you, it's when they're trying to receive something that you've done for them. If you're feeling this way, you need to attend to your needs. You need to speak up. And if they're not going to listen, then you need to look at making an exit plan out of the relationship in whatever way you can do it that is beneficial to you, but so that you can start getting into a healthy environment where, you're not doing everything and you're running yourself ragged, where you're not, having to second guess every single thing, and, you're wondering if you've done enough. I mean, you constantly feel like you can't do enough for this person, but you feel like you're just on a treadmill going nowhere with them. I mean, it's just, eventually you're going to need to get out and like get in the fresh air and feel like you can, live again. So I would definitely look at some of the other videos in this channel about the recovery journal and the depersonalization. And if you're identifying with these things, if you feel like they're not really connecting to you on a lot of different levels, then you might want to look at going no contact. I mean, after all, they have gone no contact with you in their own kind of way. Like, you know, while you're in the very living quarters with them. It's very devastating. It's very frustrating, and you know, you don't want to live in regret and live unacknowledged. It's not really healthy for you, and it's only going to stunt your growth, and it's going to make you feel oppressed, which can be avoided and should be avoided at all costs. So learn to speak up for yourself. Get involved in some different groups that are supportive for you, where you can learn to explore your interests with other people of like minds who are stimulating for you, so you can feel like you're becoming human again, and you're becoming actually communicated with. Someone's actually talking to you. Someone's actually interested in you, is sharing with you, and can ask, you know, questions on a back and forth, you know, nice level and comfortable level for you. And as you plug into those environments, you'll begin to get energized, and you'll then be able to make a decision on how to go no contact and plan your exit strategy, so you don't continue to just absorb this toxic abuse from the covert narcissist, the one who you never thought would be doing this to you. Peace and harmony here with you here today. I hope these videos help. Please share and subscribe for more great tools, videos, and discussions. Have a beautiful day.